for Phil. There are many challenges facing our community. What would you say are the top two that need to be addressed immediately?
I think it's touching the border agreement is a big thing, because we can't grow, without a border agreement. The 20 acres to 1 mile it hurts the building process. And I know the village is going to be willing to work with us on that, and that needs to be a priority. We need to grow, but we need to grow smartly. We just can't willy-nilly go, all right, let's put up some storage sheds here or there, and hopefully we can get revenue. The other thing is, I think we need to be more fiscally responsible. We don't have a rainy day fund. We're not sitting on a large amount of cash. We're living, hand to mouth, really. And I think that is a really big deal that I don't know if everybody realizes. We can't keep the same trajectory, and then we start borrowing, then when do we stop? We have to live within our means, so to speak. I think that's a big issue.
You're next, Bill.
Yeah, I would just play off of that. I think, number one, it's important for our future, for growth. We need to generate more revenue for this town. That, I think, also means that we need to look at either a part-time or full-time administrator for the town to really help us develop a plan. Somebody said it earlier, and they're correct. There is no plan for this town, and that would be the first step forward, is to really create a plan for sustained, systematic growth in the town to generate the revenue that we need. Also, what I feel is that there's more work to be done with the police department. Unfortunately, the police department went through a lot of turmoil in recent times, and I know that they're working to build that back up. I think it's important that we shore that up. We right-size that department for whatever that needs to be. And I think we need to work more closely with the village in that regard as well for that service.
So there's going to be a lot of common themes here tonight. In terms of priority issues, for me, and I've said it before, this town has a serious revenue problem. Our tax levy has been largely flat for the last 10 or 11 years. Very little bit variability in that, and that is driven by the fact that there's virtually no growth that's been happening in this town. You can't survive that way because the expense side of the ledger continues to go up, and as tight as you need to manage expenses, and we are trying to do that, without increased revenue, we're going to have a problem. So we have to have a growth plan. We have to have a strategy that drives that growth plan. We can't do this alone. We have to team up with the village and collaborate with the village to work together so that we can both thrive together. And I believe there's lots of opportunities to do that. The state of Wisconsin is incenting municipalities like ours with significant grant funding for communities like towns and villages to work together, get creative in addressing their growth challenges and their expense challenges. And I believe that's a key priority for us.
Well, I agree with what everybody else has said. Absolutely 100%. Growth is important to the town. For me, though, I got a couple other ones that I'm going to address quickly here. One is, this town doesn't have any standards, policies, and procedures in place. We appointed an operations committee. We currently had a budget problem with a project. I made a commitment to the chairman, Chris, of that committee, that we'll work together and try to come up with some policies and procedures that we can turn over to the board. I mean, we can't keep doing old school stuff. We got to do new school stuff, and that's important to me. Lastly, my other main concern was that we do not look at the village as a adversary. I've seen that too much in my time here, that we can't get along. Well, we can. With the right leadership, we can work with the village. We can work with the village. Thank you.
Thank you. I would have to agree with the other people. Definitely working to get a border agreement, work on a strategic plan for the town. again, working with the county to update to our 2050 plan. We also need to get revenue. Like Tom said, how are we going to do it? It's a good question. That's why I suggested possibly industrial park. Great way to bring revenue back into the town. Another idea might be have a couple referendums just for information. One, what do the town people want? Do they want to see a planned growth? Do they like it the way it is? The other one, which I'll probably hear a lot about, is should we get with the village and the town and form a fourth-class city? Might be a great idea, but there again, what does the public want? If we have a non-binding referendum, we could get this kind of information. Thank you.
All right, to build off our rotation, Bill starts our second question. What's your vision for solutions for tax relief locally?
All right, so unfortunately, it's my understanding that it's been quite some time since we've done true assessments or full assessments of properties in the town. People have told me the last assessment officially was 2008. So unfortunately, for many of us, me included, our taxes are going to increase from where they are today. That's more than likely going to happen. What we can do going forward is what we've been talking about with this whole group here, and that is growth. We have to, in order to be able to generate more revenue in the town, we've got to be able to do more development, strategic, sustainable development for the town, so we can get more, and with that, we also need to get the boundary agreement done. Because there's a lot of land right now that's locked up a mile and a half from the village's boundary, where it's my understanding if a farmer was to sell his land to a developer, those lot sizes cannot be less than 20 acres as it stands today. So we definitely have to look at that and get that changed. We have to work with the village on that. But I know people have mentioned an industrial park. That is not a bad idea. I would probably advocate more towards an office park. Industrial parks, as you may recall or may know, are located very closely to interstate systems, such as New Orleans. We don't have that here, but we do have, as a good start, with Case New Holland in town here, and I think we can build off of that strategically. So.
All right, I'll be very straight with everybody. This is not the time to be talking about tax relief, in my opinion. We are in a big world of hurt as it comes to being able to keep up with the expenses that we have, and everyone can see how our infrastructure is deteriorating around us. Very, very tough time. We need to equalize the tax burden across everyone within the town. That's long overdue. It has to happen through this property tax reassessment that's going to be going on. At the end of the day, it goes back to, as Bill has already pointed out, and others here, that we have to drive a growth plan that increases the revenue side of the equation. That has to happen. We have to be able to invest in what it's going to take in the skill set and professional capacity to bring expertise in here that can drive a growth plan, that can create a strategic plan for growth. But I've looked at the budget, I've crawled through the budget, I see where the budget's at. There's always room to trim expenses, but nothing that I see in this budget is going to trim expenses to the extent that people are thinking that they're going to get significant tax relief out of that. That's what I see right now. That's my honest opinion of where we're at.
I echo Tom's concerns. I've made the statement to people that if we continue down the path we're going, this town might be going into bankruptcy. And I mean that sincerely. We need to change how we do business. Now, as far as the tax levy goes, you know, we're handcuffed somewhat by the state, quite hard. So how do we raise our taxes without going against the law? First and foremost is with this assessment, we need to educate every individual we can on what it means. Taxes are a mean animal. The town's portion of your tax bill is minimal compared to what everything else is on your tax bill. We need to educate people and show them what a reassessment actually does. It takes the pie of money and distributes it equally across all residents. So that's my position on the taxes. We've got to get that done. And as far as increasing the levy, I'm telling you, it's going to happen at some point. We can't keep going the way we are. Thank you.
They are correct. We can increase the tax levy because we are governed by the state as to how much we can raise it. I believe it goes on new buildings, and obviously there isn't that much in the town. If you look at the pie, I believe the town is the smallest part of that pie. So how are we going to do it? There an industrial park, or like he said, an office park would be a great idea. I thought when he said highways, I was thinking close to I-43. You see a lot of growth already in Mukwonago, and we're not that far away from Mukwonago. The other thing would be road improvements. We could have a bond issue, which other municipalities have had, to cover fixing the roads. Instead of going out every year and deciding we'll fix this road and that road, you have a 5 or 10 year plan. We need to move into the future. The other thing would be a town administrator. Town administrator, you know, they say, where would you get a part-time one? Well, somebody that's retired obviously has a lot of experience, and I'm sure would love to work just part-time. He could find out where there's grants available, what money is out there for us to go forward. Thank you.
You know, taxes are anything but fair. And there's a lot of, we have to grow, but some realism too is with an industrial park, you know, towards the rural parts, you know, we don't have natural gas. We don't have a sewer system. You're not going to get a big company wanting to build a huge warehouse and they don't have any, they have to run their own natural gas. The energy is not going to do that. I think we have to be realistic on growth. I think it's something that we probably should have like a consultant come in and say, this is what we can do. And the other thing too is, you know, we're betting on a levy, maybe we can increase this, but there's a governor's election coming up. And I know one of the candidates running on a property tax freeze and a levy freeze. So I don't feel like we can put a lot of emphasis on, well, maybe we get the levy increased or what have you. But I think it all boils down to we have to live within our means, and you know, we might have to make some cuts somewhere, or you know, do things differently. I feel like the rhetoric has always been, well, this is the way it's always been. We do things just because it's the way it's always been. We don't embrace technology, which could probably save us on some things, or you know, bring in somebody or have any ideas. You know, we have I feel like the current board has very little outside input. They just kind of do it with what their motions are for the time. And I think that more public input and I think more outside input would help us.